Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Tetcher, and this is Tetcher Teaches Minis. This is a show where, in preferably about 10 minutes, I try to teach you guys some information that, if you're a newer player, is pretty essential to you learning the game and playing the game to the best of your enjoyment and to the best of your abilities. And then, as the series moves on, we'll be moving into more intricate parts of different hero designs and different hero tricks you can use. But for now, this is something I had requests since episode 1, so I'm going to do it. And unfortunately, there's not going to be a huge amount of gameplay in this one. You're still going to see the in-game screen, but not actually playing. Because from my very first episode on stutter stepping, the thing that people asked most in the comments was, how do you bind left click to A move? And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell you about hotkeys and why they are so important. I'm going to teach you some little tricks and make it so that you can experiment with the hotkeys, because there's no correct hotkey setup. But everyone has what works best for them. So every player, in my opinion, should go into try me mode when they first pick up a MOBA, fiddle with the hotkey settings, and work out what they want to do. So we're going to jump into the game here. And as you can see, I have the Vikings here. I've turned off in-game stuff. And right now, I am not using my main profile. I'm not using my main hotkey profile. I've started a completely new hotkey profile called Show for exactly this. It's completely reset to default. Everything is normal. So, for example, if I wanted to attack, I would have to, it appears to still have Quickcast on, which I did not turn on. So allow me to quickly. That should be off by default, because Blizzard has that off by default. So if I wanted to attack move, I would have to hit A and then left click. That's without Quickcast. That's what Quickcast does. I also can left click and drag to box and right click to move around. So, and also if I want to select a character individually, it is once again left click. That's what the game comes with normally. If that works for you, that's fine. If I want to activate an ability, in this case, we will pick, where is spin to, let's find spin to win. Spin to win, that will do. So if I wanted to use spin to win is a very simple one where you just hit the button and it works. Hooray. But if it's more of a skill shot ability, which I don't think the Vikings, oh, they do, they have a Viking bribery, but there's no way I'm going to stack that in time. But if you want a targeted ability, you would have to activate it and then select the target. Actually, I can show you that by picking play again. So if I wanted Olaf to do play again, I would have to, let's jump onto Olaf, hit R, and then click at where I want to cast. That's what it looks like without Quickcast. Now let me take you through the menus. This one may go over 10 minutes a bit. So, hotkeys. These are the essential points that I think that most people should know. This screen, for starters, very, very useful. If you want to rebind anything, this is the screen you should start with, in my opinion. For example, a lot of people sometimes like having their activatables, their extra abilities, the 1, 2, 3, etc., bound to F, is what I have found quite a bit. I don't know, I believe this is a habit brought over from other MOBAs. I personally prefer the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 option, but having it bound to F does work for some people. You can do that by very simply selecting the ability, clicking this, and typing in what you want. Or you can keep it as having one. Didn't mean to do that. Restore. There we go. Or you can keep it as that and just add an alternative. So I can just add F to that. There's a primary hotkey that was apparently bound to F. I don't know what it was. But you'll see there, you'll see unbound, see what is actually done here. Control group selection. Yep, let's restore those, restore those. So that's back to normal. If you ever mess up, that's how you fix it. Now, for starters here, we have the A button. The A button is your attack button. As you can see that. I could bind that to my left click now if I wanted to, but that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to do a huge amount in this menu. But if you wanted to simply edit stuff, this is the menu you do it in. You basically click that and change it to what you want, or add the alternative. So, before we move on to the advanced, because there's a lot in advanced we have to go through, Quickcast settings. Now, Heroes of the Storm has one of the most ridiculously fantastic settings in the game, and that is, for starters, they have the normal Quickcast settings of on release, on or off. I will show you what these are. This is off, we've already seen. That's where you try to cast an ability, and you have to choose where to target and then click. When it's on, it is basically what it sounds like. If I wanted to cast play again here with Olaf, I just hit R without having to click, and it would play the ability. Let's toggle cooldown so we can do that again. So there, that is play again. Olaf, come further forward. Sorry, that is Quickcast. That will work with any of your abilities. It will always target at where your mouse is pointing. If you're Valor and you press Q, your hungering arrow would fire out in the direction your mouse is pointing. So it basically just removes a step, but I know a lot of people like to aim certain abilities. So, the other setting, which allows that for some people, is on release. Now, this works by basically it will only activate. It still works like Quickcast, where basically it will always fire in the direction that your mouse is pointing, but it will also not actually activate until you release the key from being down. So right now, I am holding down R. You can see it's as if I had not got Quickcast on. Then if I let go of R once again without clicking, it activates play again. And that's how it works. Those are the three different Quickcast settings. But Heroes of the Storm has a very special thing, and that is different abilities, different settings for every single hero. So, for example, I personally use Quickcast, having Quickcast on for basically every hero. However, I know that there are certain heroes out there, certain professional players out there, who on a hero like Stitches, for example, they will have the hook on release, which I appear to have on here for some reason, or have Quickcast off entirely, which allows them to aim it a little bit better. Nowadays, you don't see it as often, but it's still there. Some people still use that, so you can change that. So instead of using the global setting, which for me would be Quickcast on, it instead you can change individual abilities on individual heroes, including different map mechanics up the top. You could change the Dragon Knight's Q if you wanted to be a target ability, or the charge to be a target ability as opposed to just a random one, which is pretty decent and pretty fun. So, that's the Quickcast settings. You should experiment with these and see which ones you like the best. That is very much personal preference. There is no correct answer for this, as there is no correct answer for any of these settings. Now, this is the menu where everything gets crazy. Hero management, for starters, is the fun part. For example, I don't think that Spotlight is necessary. For those who don't know what Spotlight is, allow me to show you. Spotlight is when you press space, you lock onto your character, and you get this blue light above you. It allows you to find yourself a lot easier. Oops, not options. It allows you to find yourself a lot easier in team fights, etc. I personally don't think it's necessary, so I usually just unbind this altogether. This is just my personal preference here. Ping minimap, these are all fine. Very few of these are going to be changed unless you want them. You can see everything can be changed. You can do individual pings. You can move the minimap camera, targeting mode. Very, very easy. Very, very easy, including how to activate certain talents, map mechanic ability, which is F for nuking, which I would like to point out you can actually change in here. If I go to page 2, I can have a map mechanic, and I could change that to be a on-target ability so that I don't a non-Quickcast ability so that I don't miss my nukes, which has happened. It allows you to aim it that little bit better. So let's move on to Hero's ability Quickcast. Whichever one you are using, whether it's on release or... Oh, hang on, let me show you what it looks like without Spotlight on. Yes, I want to save. So I have no Spotlight on. Now my camera will follow while I'm holding space without the blue thing above my head, which I personally just don't like the look of, which is why I do that. So, I personally use Quickcast, so this is the setting I'd be going into. You guys would be going into on release if you had on release. And self-cast is just while holding Alt. You can hold Alt and self-cast an ability, in case you guys didn't know. We're going to go over 10 minutes, I've just realised. So, this is where you change your auto attack to left click. Simply, you can see here, every single ability is done. The only one you need to change is to select attack, add hotkey, and click left mouse button. That will unbind your normal attack hotkey, but that's fine. You can see that control groups is now written up red, or we could go to unbound and see that that's where it is. You can see the spotlight we have turned off, and control group selection has been turned off. Selection basically means that we can no longer select individual Vikings. So look, I'm going to click on Eric here. The Vikings are still grouped. We can no longer select them. The way I found around this also means you can't box, by the way. So you can see me trying to box here. I can't drag all my Vikings together. The way that I personally get around this is I have that Razer Overwatch mouse. I can't remember. Hang on, probably says in the bottom. I had the Death Adder Chroma. So that mouse has a very easily and conveniently placed side mouse button because it's played there to use as a melee button in Overwatch. So it's really easy to get to. So what I do, very simply, is I bind that to my to my select. So there you go. I can see that. I only have one button by hotkey. That's spotlight. So now you can see if I use my left click, still nothing. If I use my side mouse button, I can select Eric and have individual, and I can use that button to box. So that allows me to play my Vikings still to the best of my ability. We're just over 10 minutes. I can probably finish this quite quickly. That's the main stuff. So that's how you bind it to left click. You need Quickcast on for that. You need to turn your auto attack to Quickcast on basically on at least that hero to do it. Otherwise, you're still going to have to left click and left click twice in order to move forward if you don't have Quickcast on or Quickcast on release. The only other setting I think that's quite useful for actually playing, this is what I personally don't use that often because it's quite difficult to do and I can never remember the hotkey for it. And that is, let me find it, here we go, control locations, location groups. Now the way you do that is these buttons, F5, F6, F7, F8, and control for that, and then control shift for the rest of them. Then you can hit the buttons with either shift or by themselves. And let me show you what that does. So say, for example, I'm playing in lane, but we have vision of something in the bot lane. I don't know how we do that. It's a vision of the boss. So what I could do here is I could hit Control F5. Don't hit Control F4. Be careful of that. Or that's Alt F4. But either way, Control F5, and then I could move myself back to my character, and then just by hitting F5, because that's the one I bound, my camera will immediately jump to that location. You can save up to 8 locations, so let me do this. Control F6, and over here, Control F7, and over here, Control F8. So I could just hit F5, F6, F7, F8. And I have just automatic camera locks to certain locations. It's nice to actually set these up at the start, mate, a lot of the times. Like on Cursed Hollow, tribute locations are usually good places to lock your camera to. In these scenarios, your camera's not locked to here, you can still move around normally. But yeah, you can lock your camera to a lot of those locations. Cursed Hollow, like I said, tribute locations. You can lock it onto bosses on certain maps. You can keep an eye on them, see if you can hear certain abilities, because some abilities appear through the fog of war. But there you go. Those are all of the useful tricks in terms of hotkeys. Experiment with them as best you can. In order to left-click attack move, you need to have Quickcast on in some way, shape, or form. But that's how you do it, seeing as you guys wanted to know. And you can still select if you just rebind a certain button to it. I use my side mouse button. You could, if you wanted to, I believe, bind tilde to it. But I'm going to end this here because we've gone a little bit over time. So I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Tetcher. If you guys have a suggestion for something I should show in this show, something that you think new players might want to learn, or as this was a request from a lot of people, something they'd like to learn themselves, something that you think you'd like to know more about to improve your game. And also, if you want to support me in doing these shows, link to my Patreon is in the description below. I have been Tetcher. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.
Alright, kick back, relax, and let's hit it again. While you go tell your mother, father, cousin, and kin, and your other friends that don't even have a clue what this 2-2 crew is about to do. You know